So, Jasmine Crockett told security to take Governor Greg Abbott out. What happened next? You won't believe what just went down at the K. Bailey Hutchison Conference facility in Dallas, Texas. Imagine this. The stage lights are bright, the crowd's buzzing, and Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is in the middle of a fiery speech about changing the legal system. Then, out of nowhere, Governor Greg Abbott rolls into the room, like a sudden gust of wind messing up a calm day. His surprise arrival shocked everyone, and what he said changed everything in seconds. Before we get into this crazy story, drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss more wild stories like this. The conference room was totally packed. Every seat was taken, and people were standing, craning their necks to see Crockett. She stood tall at the podium, her voice booming through the speakers, clear and strong. Our laws should help all Texans, no exceptions, she declared. The crowd went wild, clapping like thunder, especially her supporters on the left side of the room, their election badges glinting under the bright lights. News channels like CNN and Fox News swung their cameras to catch every word. Phones lit up everywhere to record what felt like a really important moment. But then someone recognizable showed up in the media area near the back, someone who stood out even in that huge crowd. Gov, Greg Abbott, in his wheelchair, rolled smoothly forward, looking calm but with that well-known Texas grit. He moved ahead with a quiet confidence that seemed to hush the crowd for a second. People's vibe shifted. Whispers spread super fast. Some were confused, others fascinated. Crockett paused mid-sentence, her eyes narrowing as she spotted him. "Governor, this isn't your stage," she said, her voice steady but firm. Clutching the mic stand like a lawyer ready to grill someone, a few people chuckled quietly, while others gasped, sensing the tension rise. Someone in the back shouted, "Get him out," but some yelled back, "Let him speak." The air crackled with excitement, like everyone was holding their breath. Abbott, unfazed, raised a hand, not in defiance, but with the calm of someone who's seen worse. His thick Texas accent cut through the noise like a hot knife through butter. "Congresswoman, I'm not here to steal your thunder," he said, his voice even almost relaxed, like chatting with neighbors over a fence. "But if we're talking fairness, shouldn't I get a chance to speak?" The crowd erupted. Some booed, others cheered, and phones shot up, capturing every second of the scene. A woman in a red coat near the front yelled, "Give him a chance," while a bunch of Crockett supporters near the stage waved their arms, shouting, "This is our event." Crockett, standing her ground, leaned into the mic, her eyes locked on Abbott. "Governor, this is a Q&A, not a disruption," she said, her tone sharp but controlled, like slicing through the chaos with precision. "You weren't on the schedule." Her words drew a wave of cheers, mainly from her fans, but the room was split. Excitement mixed with stress, like a storm brewing on the horizon. Two security guys in dark suits moved quickly toward Abbott, their movements deliberate, faces blank under the bright stage lights. The crowd buzzed louder, a mix of cheers and jeers as reporters on the side scribbled furiously. Sensing a big story breaking, a PBS camera zoomed in on Abbott. He looked unfazed, his eyes scanning the space with a quiet strength that suggested he'd been in tighter spots before. He raised both hands slightly, not giving in, but like asking everyone to stop and listen. "Okay, hold on, folks," he said, his voice dripping with that Texas charm, like a storyteller warming up by a campfire. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I just want a minute to chat about what fairness means to me." Some in the crowd chuckled, charmed by his easygoing manner, but others sighed, clearly not impressed. A guy in a cowboy hat near the aisle stood up, his voice booming, "Let the governor speak." Crockett, still holding the podium, considered her options. She knew how to handle disruptions. She dealt with hecklers in courtrooms and at rallies, but Abbott's presence was different. His reputation as a reliable, moral leader gave him weight that couldn't be easily dismissed. She tilted her head, narrowing her eyes as she planned her next move. "Governor, this isn't an open debate," she said, her voice quiet but sharp, drawing cheers from her supporters. "If you have something to say, sign up like everyone else." The crowd noise rose, a chaotic mix of support and opposition. A young woman in the back, holding a phone, yelled, "Give him a chance," while an older man near the stage shouted back, "Stick to the plan." Reporters typed furiously, their laptops glowing in the dim light, realizing this moment was about to explode on social media. Abbott, still in the aisle, didn't budge. His face, lined with years of public service, held a gentle smile as if he knew something the room didn't. "Congresswoman," he said, his voice soft but clear, picked up by a nearby mic, "I'm not here to play games. I just want 60 seconds to share what I've learned about bringing people together." The room teetered on the edge of chaos, with some chanting, "Abbott, Abbott," and others cheering cheering for Crockett, urging her to stand her ground. An older woman in a blue dress stood up, her voice cutting through the noise. Let's hear him out. The tension ratcheted up, and Crockett knew that flat out refusing him might make her look like she was afraid to talk, a risk she couldn't take in a room full of voters and cameras. Crockett took a breath, kept her hand steady on the stand, and stared right at Abbott. She didn't back down from a fight, but she knew it looked good to be open to discussion, especially with cameras rolling and people watching. After what felt like forever, but was only a few seconds, she nodded slowly, still watching him. Fine, Governor, she said, her voice calm and controlled like a judge giving a short extension. 1 minute. But make it count. We're here for substance, not show. She nodded slightly to the security, who stepped back, but stayed alert. The crowd quieted down as everyone waited. Eyes glued on Abbott, he smiled, looking grateful and genuine, and the stage lights now making him stand out as if the world wanted him to have this moment. Thank you, Congresswoman, he said, his voice full of sincerity. I promise to make every second worth it. The room was thick with anticipation, everyone on edge. From the supporters in front to the curious in the back, everyone knew this could change everything and start conversations far beyond Dallas. The tension was building and the room felt electric, like the calm before a storm, with whispers and movement adding to the silence. Crockett stepped back a bit, arms crossed, looking determined but tired. She had given a little ground, but not much, ready to take back control if Abbott messed up. The officers stayed nearby, barely visible, while reporters kept typing away, with one from CNN saying Abbott's calmness was already getting attention. Abbott, in the centre, cleared his throat softly, taking his time as if he had all day. He looked around the room again, drawing people in, ready to say things that would bring people together instead of divide them. The stage was set, the moment full of possibilities, and everyone, from Crockett's biggest fans to the undecided, waited with bated breath to hear what the governor would say in his minute, knowing it could either calm things down or make them worse. This was politics at its rawest. A reminder that sometimes the unexpected can lead to the most important exchanges. The build-up had been intense, with the initial shock of Abbott's arrival turning into waves of reaction that kept growing. From the moment he rolled into view, things changed. Crockett's strong presence met Abbott's quiet confidence, creating a contrast that captivated the room. People shifted in their seats, some leaning forward, others crossing their arms, but all engaged in a way the planned speech wouldn't have achieved. The light seemed brighter, the room warmer from the bodies and emotions, and the air conditioning did little to cool the rising excitement. Crockett's supporters whispered words of encouragement, while those intrigued by Abbott's boldness exchanged nods. The division clear, but not set in stone. Security remained, a reminder that things could escalate. But Abbott's demeanour kept things from boiling over, his smile disarming even the toughest critics. As the seconds ticked down to his minute, the anticipation was almost tangible, a shared experience that united the audience despite their differences. This wasn't just an interruption. It was a turning point, a chance for dialogue in a place meant for a solo speech. And everyone felt it. Okay, so remember that thing with Crockett and Abbott? You could really see it in that moment. Like, the stage lights were reflecting off Crockett's jewellery as she stood there, and you could hear the creaks as people shifted around for a better view. Phones were buzzing with alerts as stuff got documented. When Abbott thanked her again, you could hear the appreciation cutting through the tension. The crowd was a mix. Families teaching their kids about government, older folks who've been voting for years, and young people snapping pics for social media. Everyone was watching how things can change in real time. Crockett, always thinking ahead, used the pause to regroup, already planning how to steer things back to her ideas about changes. Abbott, careful with his words, knew what he said mattered, not just there, but maybe even beyond if things went viral. The officers just kind of stood there, their job taken over by the crowd wanting to see things through. Reporters were already thinking up headlines. Abbott interrupts Crockett discussion, sparks debate. The energy was catching, even drawing in people who didn't care before. It just goes to show sometimes the best moments in community talks are totally unplanned. It's interesting to think about what was going on in their heads. Crockett was bold. Abbott was stubborn. They have different ways of leading. Her asking for protection was a reflex, trying to keep order, but the crowd wanted more. They wanted to hear different sides. Abbott used that, framing his time to speak as a request for fairness, which fit well in a place that values doing its own thing. People started whispering. One said, "He's got guts showing up like that." Another replied, "But Crockett's right. It's her event." The balance shifted. Crockett had the rules on her side, but Abbott was winning over the spirit of open talks. As the room went silent, the stage was set for Abbott's moment, a short bit of time that could change things long after the meeting ended. This part of the story, full of drama and real human stuff, set the stage for what was next, showing how one surprise move can turn a regular regular meeting into something you remember. The Kay Bailey Hutchison Conference facility was buzzing. Texas Gov Greg Abbott, cool as ever, stepped up to the mic. His calm voice filled the room, putting folks at ease. He cleared his throat, not nervous, but ready to get down to business. In that Texas drawl, we all know thanks, Congresswoman Crockett, for having me. He said, sounding like he meant it. I'm not here to cause trouble or take over. I just want to share something I've learned in Texas. People from all walks of life can come together, whether it's at a barbecue or a town hall, to work things out. The crowd, which had been tense, started to relax. Phones were still up, but steady now, recording Abbott's words. He leaned forward in his wheelchair, looking everyone in the eye. A young guy in a baseball cap nodded. An older woman in the third row looked thoughtful, like he was talking directly to them. Growing up in this great state, I've seen that fairness isn't only about laws and courts, it's about people listening to each other, even when they disagree. He continued, his voice getting a little louder for emphasis. A few chuckles rippled through the room at the familiar image only a Texan could paint so well. It eased the tension even more, drawing people closer to what he was saying. Abbott kept his talk simple and genuine, tossing in stories everyone could relate to. I've been all over Texas, from the panhandle to the coast, meeting farmers up before dawn, teachers shaping young minds, and families just trying to get by, he said, speaking casually, like he was shooting the breeze around a campfire. They don't want constant fighting. They want to be heard, respected, and part of building a better future for everyone. Heads nodded in agreement, and the cheers started small but grew louder as his message hit home. That need for togetherness in a world that often feels divided. One guy in a cotton shirt stood up and boomed, "That's right," which got others whispering their support. The energy in the room shifted from conflict to connection. Crockett's, watching from the stage, remained calm, but you could see a flicker of recognition in her eyes that Abbott was changing the mood with his down-to-earth approach. She shifted, ready to step in if needed. The crowd's growing engagement showed that his words were sinking in, like rain on parched land, refreshing and welcome. Abbott stepped up, making the most of his time and getting results. Real fairness comes from bringing people together, not pushing them apart. It's about settling down, listening, and finding common ground, just like Texans have always done. The crowd cheered louder, not crazy loud, but real. Coming from unexpected places, a group of students in the back who'd come for Crockett found themselves swayed. They whispered, "He makes sense." The mood shifted. It was like a cool breeze in the stuffy room. Abbott wrapped up his talk with a point that stuck with the crowd. If we can't even give each other the courtesy of listening today, how can we expect to build the fairness we all deserve? He put up a hand for emphasis, then stepped back, looking friendly, like he'd just had a casual chat. The cheers exploded, starting in the middle and spreading out. People clapped with real enthusiasm, not just his supporters, but also those who were on the fence and liked his honesty. An older guy near the aisle jumped up, clapping and yelling, "Well said." "Governor." A young woman with glasses turned to her friend and admitted, "I wasn't expecting that, but he has a point about listening." Everyone was recording the applause on their phones. The tense atmosphere relaxed into a buzz of thought. Even some of Crockett's fans paused to consider his call for conversation. Crockett, sensing the shift, went to the mic, her voice cutting through the fading cheers with determination. "Thank you, Governor," she said, choosing her words carefully to stay in control. "But let's remember, we're here for real action, not just stories." Her core supporters clapped and agreed, but it was quieter than for Abbott. People were still thinking about his message of unity, which had quietly reshaped the debate. As applause died down, Crockett leaned into the podium, looking for signs she could get things back on track. "We have real problems to fix, inequalities that hurt marginalized people every day." She was strong and passionate, trying to get everyone focused on action again, not just talk. But Abbott had made a change that couldn't be denied. People were whispering about how much they agreed with him. A middle-aged couple in the front rows murmured, "He's right. We need more discussion, less shouting." Journalists scrambled to type notes. A Fox News reporter noted the governor's skillful move, while cameras from PBS switched between Crockett's determined face and Abbott standing calmly in the aisle. Security guards, who had been on high alert, relaxed. The threat of disruption faded in the wake of the positive reaction. Abbott didn't ask for more time. He just nodded, looking satisfied, knowing he had planted seeds of thought. The crowd buzzed louder, with cheers for Crockett's response mixed with respect for Abbott's clear speaking. It was turning from a conflict into a chance to connect. Crockett went on, laying out specific ideas for change, but Abbott's message still hung in the air as people shared glances and nods. The mood now had a new openness. Building on that, people commented on Abbott's impact. A veteran in a patterned shirt stood up, cheering. "That's the Texas way. Listen and learn." Some young professionals in the back started sharing clips on their phones, saying how refreshing it was to hear calls for unity. Crockett, ever the fighter, didn't let it stop her. She got better at talking, using clear pictures to show what was wrong, which got her fans cheering again, but these cheers sounded different, more split. Like Abbott's interruption made people think harder. He stayed put, not looking for more attention, but just being there to show his thoughts. His friendly smile got people on his side. The stage lights seemed to help, lighting up everyone's faces. Families, campaign workers, regular folks, all reacting in their own way. One woman near the front, who was first cheering for Crockett, whispered to her friend, "I still want change, but he's right about coming together." Reporters saw the story changing, writing down how Abbott's quick speech made the argument personal, making fairness seem doable instead of just a dream. Crockett quickly changed her approach, responding to his points, agreeing they needed to talk, but still pushing for quick action. Her voice got louder to fill the room. The feel in the room was like a Texas sunset, colours mixing where there used to be clear lines. Abbott's words stuck in people's heads even as Crockett got back on track. She went into details about her plans for fair play, her passion clear and getting good support from parts of the crowd, but overall things were calmer, less angry and more thoughtful. Because of Abbott's speech, he didn't interrupt again, keeping his word, but his calmness said a lot, getting some more cheers from fans who liked his call for respect. A group in cowboy hats quietly chanted, "Abbott speaks the truth." Crockett's fans clapped for her strength. While the media got excited, cameras zoomed in on emotional reactions, a tear in an old man's eye, a young person nodding thoughtfully, showing how one moment could change minds. Crockett, not giving up, kept going with her plan, but the idea of coming together that Abbott planted was growing, with people talking in the aisles about listening and doing. His style, based on Texas ideas of community and toughness, definitely changed the mood, making the discussion feel more complete. As this part of the speech went on, the crowd got more involved, with Abbott's words making people think more about how talking can help make change happen. Crockett, good at leading, subtly agreed about working together, but still stressed the need for change. Her speech was sharp, but now aware of the room's new mood. Abbott watched quietly, his part done, but its effects still going as phones buzzed with shared videos, and whispers of that was powerful. The security team faded away, not needed anymore in this changed place. Reporters imagined headlines praising the state leader's good feeling, while the crowd from different backgrounds found common ground in his words. The vibe, once tense, now felt full of hope, showing that one real voice could bridge gaps in surprising ways. Crockett kept going strong, but Abbott's moment had a lasting impact, urging everyone to listen a bit more. The conference hall in Dallas was still buzzing after Governor Abbott's speech. It was the kind of speech that sticks with you, and people were talking about it, a real Texas-sized buzz. His call for unity, delivered with a friendly, down-to-earth style, shifted the mood from tense to thoughtful. People from all walks of life and with different opinions seemed to be pondering his words. Then, Congresswoman Crockett took the stage. She was all about legal changes, her voice clear and strong as she pointed out problems and offered solutions. She was determined to get everyone's attention back, but Abbott's message lingered, sparking conversations that spread beyond the hall and onto social media, where a storm was brewing. Journalists were typing away, recognizing this was bigger than just this event. It was a story that would dominate news and discussions across the state and beyond. As the crowd whispered and phones lit up, the tension between Crockett's focus and Abbott's appeal became a hot topic, showing how a moment of sincerity can start a national conversation. What do you think about this exchange? Share your thoughts below and sign up for more stories that capture the essence of American politics. The immediate reaction to Abbott's speech was electric. People were clearly divided, but captivated. A group of young people who came to support Crockett were now whispering among themselves. One said, "I didn't expect that from the governor. He made me think." An older man in a wool coat turned to his wife and agreed. "He's right about listening. We don't do enough of that." Meanwhile, Crockett's supporters near the stage cheered loudly as she spoke, their loyalty unwavering. One woman in a campaign shirt shouted, "Keep it real, Jasmine." But even among her fans, some were glancing at Abbott, who remained in the aisle. His calm presence a stark contrast to the energy at the podium. The security officers who were about to escort him out stood still, their job forgotten as everyone focused on the exchange. Cameras from CNN and Fox News panned across the room, capturing the varied responses. Some faces lit up with agreement, others wrinkled in doubt. A PBS reporter murmured to a colleague, "This is going viral as we speak," and she was right. Moments later, a clip of Abbott's speech posted by Lone Star Sound hit social media, showing him in the aisle, his voice steady and friendly, urging Texans to bridge divides by listening. The video quickly racked up thousands of views and comments. Abbott killed it with class. One person wrote, while another added, I don't agree with his policies, but that was a mic drop moment. The online buzz amplified the event far beyond Dallas. On platforms like Twitter and Instagram, hashtags like Abbott Echo and Dallas discussion trended, with people sharing snippets of his speech and their own takes. A college student posted a quick edit with the caption, "When the governor crashes the party and wins hearts." It got tens of thousands of likes, with comments praising Abbott's ability to turn a tense situation into a plea for unity. This is how you do politics. Real talk, no yelling. One comment read, another person identifying as a Democrat noted, "Crockett has the facts, but Abbott has the feels." News outlets jumped on the bandwagon, with Fox News running a headline, "Governor Abbott steals show at Democrat. Led event with unity plea." CNN, while highlighting Crockett's push for changes, acknowledged Abbott's appeal, with an analyst saying he tapped into a widespread desire for unity in a divided time. Even PBS, known for its neutrality, fostered a quick online analysis, calling the moment a rare example of political theatre turning into genuine conversation. Back at the venue, the audience's energy fueled the online frenzy, with attendees sharing their own recordings and live tweeting quotes. A local Dallas Morning News reporter typed, "Abbott just turned Crockett's turf into a lesson in civility, recognizing the story's potential to dominate the news cycle." Meanwhile, Crockett, unfazed by the shifting tides, intensified her message of changes. She leaned into the microphone, her voice rising with passion as she shared stories of communities ignored by the justice system. Her words were sharp and direct. "This isn't about feel-good moments," she declared, her gaze sweeping the room, locking onto her supporters. "It's about fixing a system that fails the unheard every day." Her words drew loud cheers from the front rows, where her base remained firm, their shouts a reminder of her mission's urgency. But the broader crowd's reaction was more muted now, as if Abbott's brief intervention had softened their focus, leading them to reflect rather than react. A group of older attendees near the centre murmured to each other, one saying, "Crockett is right, but Abbott made it feel like we're all in this together." The governor, still in the aisle, didn't interrupt again. His role in the spotlight done, but his impact undeniable. He nodded occasionally to audience members who caught his eye, his smile friendly and unassuming, as if he were just another Texan in the room, not the state's top leader. The contrast between Crockett's intense advocacy and Abbott's quiet appeal created a dynamic that kept the audience engaged, their phones still recording, their conversations buzzing with debate over who had the stronger message. Behind the scenes, Congresswoman Crockett's team watched a growing social media storm following Governor Abbott's unexpected appearance. Despite suggestions from her aide, Maria, to respond, Crockett declined to chase online fame, focusing instead on real changes and community engagement. Meanwhile, Abbott's calm demeanour and surprising comments were going viral, with clips amassing thousands of views and praise across platforms for his ability to win over a room without confrontation. While some accused Crockett of stifling dialogue, others defended her commitment to fairness. At coffee shops and online, the public was divided. Some more drawn to Abbott's approachable style, others loyal to Crockett's changes agenda. Crockett remained steadfast, preparing for a community meeting in South Dallas, telling Maria, "Let him have the headlines. I'm here for the people." Abbott, continuing his day with grassroots visits and media interviews, framed his message around unity and listening, further boosting his image. As the event buzz died down, one observer summed up the atmosphere. Crockett's still the change fighter, but Abbott's winning hearts, setting the stage for a deeper conversation on how Texas can bridge its divides. The K. Bailey Hutchison Forum Hall in Dallas was still buzzing with the aftermath of Governor Greg Abbott's unexpected appearance and his sincere plea, an event that had turned a standard discussion into a widespread sentiment, with parts of his short speech bouncing everywhere online like a Texas bonfire. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, resolved at the podium, finished her speech with firm resolve, her voice cutting through the remaining buzz as she focused on the immediate need for structural change. But the story had changed. Abbott's message had planted a seed of dialogue that continued to grow both at the gathering and online, leaving everyone from visitors to observers at home dealing with listening in a divided world. As the crowd started to leave, their phones still shining with shared videos, the gathering had become something more than a conflict of ideas. It was a lesson in how honesty and respect can bridge gaps even in the heat of politics. What did you learn? Share your feelings below. Crockett, back in a small working space, stood with her team, the air heavy with the day's events. Her aide, Maria, worked at her phone trying to read an amount of online feeds, her expression tense with worry. They're calling Abbott the voice of reason. She said, looking up, we need to fight this. Jasmine, can we still focus on our main goal? Crockett, her dark suit lightly wrinkled from the long day, leaned back and shook her head. I'm not here to chase fame. I focus on people who need fairness. Outside, Abbott walked to greet people who waited patiently to shake his hand. A man in a jacket approached, his voice true. Governor, I may not agree with you, but you are right about the listening. Abbott answered, that's what matters and should continue. Just listen. A young girl smiled and asked for a photo and said about his address being all over the internet. Abbott replied, if that brings anyone to think about connection with others, I am happy. News agencies continued to magnify and zoom in on what occurred, and local media ran lines describing the conversation. At an eatery, a group talked over beverages about the recent event. All had an opinion. Crockett was to continue her plan and was travelling south, where she spoke of families and educators. This was where it was supposed to be. This was not about the show, but what needed to occur. State Governor Abbott continued his day as normal with his focus on hearing all. Each was to be listened to, and there was to be a result for all. The world may be divided at some points, but people were to hear all. And